I'd just like to make comment to our speaker previous to this one. As far as the compliments you gave to our city streets department, I agree with you. I think we come great ways, and that's because of Corey Farkas. I think we've got a winner in there. He's done super jobs, and so I just want to ride on that and thank you, Corey, for how you advanced this into this 21st century of street and chip repair and all you're doing for our streets. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to come forward and testify on this issue? Okay, seeing none, Councilmember Bennett.
Yes, I'm going to make a motion, but before I do, I have talked with probably all of my council members, and I haven't seen a single council member say that these critical issues aren't accurate and needed. What we're discussing is the methodology for how we solve these problems. I think there's unanimous agreement, pretty close to unanimous agreement, about the need for our services to help with this. If you look at the first two proposals that might come forward, they're a solution. They're not the final solution. Even when we come to the third one, it's a solution. It's not the final solution. That is the environment that we're in. So we just need to identify what's the best way to go forward, recognizing that there's going to be a lot of critical issues that have to be addressed over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and we need to do that. With that in mind, I move approval of the mayor's resolution. This is a resolution submitting to the registered qualified electors of the City of Colorado Springs, Colorado, at the general municipal election to be held Tuesday, April 7th, 2015, the question of issuing sales and use tax revenue bonds of the city without raising taxes or imposing a new fee in the maximum principal amount of $160 million for the purpose of financing capital improvements, providing for the form of the ballot title and text, providing for certain matters with respect to the election, and providing the effective date of this resolution. With that, I move approval of this resolution.
Okay. Has it been seconded? There is no second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion among council members. Councilmember Collins.
Well, I'm the most conservative member of council, so I'm just going to throw it out there. We typically talk about our general fund budget, which is $225 million. But our overall city budget, when you add PSST, PPRTA, and everything else, is around $449 million. We need to prioritize. Now, if you have a budget and you're running out of money, you don't use your credit card, you start making cuts. Now, I did give I gave Mayor Bach and the council a proposal I had to do with RTA funds, but of course nobody has seen it. I will not be voting for this. It's borrowing, and today we just voted on 2 annexations. We can't afford more annexations. That's more police, more fire. We voted through 2 pay raises since I've been on council. Are you aware that city employees encompass 70% of the city council budget, 68 to 70%? So that's why I will be voting against this. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wanting to make a statement? I would like to make a statement concerning the position that I presented at our last council meeting. I think the proposal could have been structured quite a bit differently and been done in a way that would have saved a lot of money. The actual borrowing is $145 million. The extra borrowing above that was strictly a reserve that would have been put aside, that would have been we would have paid interest on over the period of the 20 years that it really, frankly, is not necessary to pay interest on. It's a reserve, and it just is there to make payments if we ever get to the place where we don't have the money to make the payments on the rest of it. So we could have put up the moral obligation of the city, which I suggested, and eliminated the money of the above the $145 million to accomplish that. We could have also taken the money away from the borrowing of the parks and the infrastructure of the city and pay cash for those as we go and also save that $30 million. And that would have given us $18 million to pay for those on a cash go basis. And so we could have accomplished this with a significantly different proposal. And I presented that proposal, and I also presented flipping the stormwater from the 40 million to the 75 million and doing more stormwater as opposed to that. I presented that proposal. That proposal was not received favorably and supported. So I think there are some alternatives that were given and some alternatives that were brought forward. That particular proposal would have made it a lot different type of proposal to go forward, and so I will not be supporting this proposal. Any further comments? Okay, let's vote. Okay, that fails on a motion of vote of 2-7. We have another motion that we will do at this time. Councilmember Gaber.
So yesterday we discussed the idea of amending this proposal to increase the amount for stormwater, and I think our CFO, Cara Skinner, has the resolution update for that and the project list update that puts more funding into stormwater. I don't see her here, but I was hoping she could maybe describe it a little bit for us, but since I'm talking,
She's here.
I will say a little bit. I'm not going to belabor everything I said yesterday in support of trying to move all of the funding over to stormwater, not all, some funding, enough to bring us up to where we were when we were paying for SWEND at $17 million, which of course helps our relationship with our Lower Arkansas Valley, but also preserves funding for public safety and our roads and a lot for parks also. I spoke yesterday briefly about the intergenerational equity of the CIP bonds, and that is really important when it comes to parks because it allows us to build parks today that would be deferred for many years so that the children that live in our community today can enjoy them. And that is the idea of intergenerational equity, and I want those parks built now so they can support our community now. Also, we keep talking about our role here today, and our role is not to make this decision for our community. Our role here is only to allow our community to make this decision of whether we should fund our community in this way. I don't like debt any more than anybody else. However, I think we can all acknowledge that we are a very low-tax community, and we are struggling right now just to provide basic city services for our community, whether it's in public safety or those many potholes that Corey Farkas mentioned. And this bonding is a tool that we can use to just provide our basic city services. And so I do support moving forward with this proposal so that we can do that for our community while also, yes, temporarily solving our stormwater concerns to preserve our relationship with Lower Arkansas Valley. So, Cara, yes, I'm sorry I just interrupted, but can you please just provide the information regarding the update or the amended proposal?
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council President King, Council President Pro Tem Bennett, and members of City Council. Cara Skinner, Chief Financial Officer. At the request of Council yesterday, our team did reassemble and make modifications to the proposed project lists. And so we did pass out to all of you what that might look like. As was discussed in the original proposal, there was a total over 5 years of $75 million spent on neighborhood streets and a total of $40 million on stormwater projects. With this modification, we've added $3 million worth of projects to stormwater in each of the 5 years, bringing the 5-year stormwater total to $55 million and reducing the neighborhood streets total to $60 million. So we passed this out that shows the new 5-year spend totals, and then the resolution as modified is right behind that. And so you'll see the project list. The The stormwater project list, I believe it's on the third page of what you have, includes some new projects that were identified by the Public Works team and the stormwater manager. And I do have those different projects here if you wanted to actually see the different ones that are listed. But as far as reducing the neighborhood streets projects, the $3 million was taken out of one project as identified in the project list, and that one project is the street rehabilitation reconstruction project line. So previously, we had between $5 million and $9 million a year going to street rehabilitation reconstruction, which is the paving program. And so that's being reduced by $3 million in each year. So it's a sort of a simple switch with respect to the neighborhood streets program, or the neighborhood streets projects. And then for the stormwater, the new additional $3 million worth of project spending is a number of projects, and we have them by year if you'd like to see that. I can put it on the overhead here.
I think, Councilmember Collins.
Carrie, could you put the chart up so the public can see it?
Okay.
So these are the two figures that were, those top two rows have been changed.
Councilmember Gaber.
I'm just here to make the motion, and I would move approval to the amended resolution submitting the registered qualified electors of the City of Colorado Springs at the general municipal election to be held on Tuesday, April 7, 2015, the question of issuing sales and use tax revenue bonds of the city without raising taxes or imposing a new fee in the maximum principal amount of $160 million for the purpose of financing capital improvements, providing for the form of the ballot title and text, providing for certain matters with respect to the election, and providing the effective date of the resolution.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion on the proposal? Okay, Councilmember Pico.
Yeah, this is a marginally better proposal than the other, in that it puts additional funding into the stormwater issue. I wanted to kind of stress a couple of points. One is that these are not the only funds that are going to all the different agencies, the roads, stormwater, police, fire, public safety, parks, and so forth. There have been significant increases in several of these areas during the general fund budgeting for the last 2 years that I've been here, and I know it's increased from years past. So this is not in isolation. The issue that I have on both of these last two is that it takes a pretty big chunk of annual funds every year to service those bonds, and partly that's how we got into the situation, by locking up $8 million per year of the general fund and paying off the debt service for 20 years for 5 years worth of work. That's why I just don't support this idea of going to that much in debt. I forwarded a suggestion to the city, to the administration, that we cut the bonding by about 2/3. I never heard back on that. So that's why I will not support going in debt for this amount of money. As critical as all these issues are, and they certainly are, I don't believe that this is the right way to address it. Thank you.
Yep. Further comment? Okay, let's vote. What? That fails on a vote of 4-5, so I think we need to make a motion to proceed to add 14A to be brought up at this time. And Councilmember Knight.
I apologize, I hit the wrong button. I wanted to record a no vote on that, so,
You wanted to record a no vote?
yes. So,
Mr. President, I make a motion that we amend the agenda to take item 14A at this time.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. This, That's Jan's resolution, so do we,
A resolution of the City of Colorado Springs concerning support for the adoption and implementation of a sustainable stormwater control program.
okay, Councilmember Martin.
I brought this resolution forward yesterday. It's one that had been talked about over the last, probably 6 weeks off and on. It's an option that actually, if I can explain it, that it uses the money that the city is currently using to pay for these bonds, which is $8 million a year, and adds to it about the $8 million that the city already spends in stormwater funding, and then an additional $3 million a year that utilities spends on stormwater funding, for a total of $19 million going for stormwater. Now, this what this does is it basically replaces SCIP, because it's using the money that, it replaces the funds that would be used to pay for SCIP, the bonds, is used for stormwater. And so we add up what the city currently pays, what the city is paying for those bonds, and we add $3 million from utilities, and we get a $19 million sum of money that would go towards stormwater. It's a pay-as-you-go system. It requires no additional debt. As I said this yesterday, I don't want anyone to believe that this solves our problem. We've heard from everybody here today, and we all know it. We all live in this city, drive on the streets, live here in the summer during the rainstorms, walk on our trails. We all know that we have over $1 billion in infrastructure problem backlog here in Colorado Springs. This resolution, it will take the bite out of the stormwater piece of that, but it does not solve our overall infrastructure problem. And we have a mayor's race coming up here in just a matter of months, and there really is, I believe, an opportunity for the citizens, the new mayor, and the council to come together and identify a long-term solution for this billion-dollar backlog of infrastructure problems that the city has. So the resolution I'm bringing forward today is strictly a stormwater solution, and I described where the funding comes from. So I will make a motion to support a resolution of the City of Colorado Springs concerning support for the adoption and implementation of a sustainable stormwater control program.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, so the question before us is this is somewhat different than the previous one, so we will open this back up for public comment if you want to make any comment on this particular one, and we will give you a chance to have that opportunity on this one. So is there anybody who would like to? Councilmember Bennett.
Yeah, this is a good proposal, and what this will actually do is replace the stormwater enterprise dollars, and will certainly help us with the lawsuit with our friends in the Lower Arkansas Valley District. So it's a viable option that does not raise taxes, and I'll certainly be supporting it.
Okay. Any other comments? Anybody in the audience want to testify? Okay. Please come forward.
Just to clarify, Jan, Walter Lawson, by the way, you mentioned 3 million, I take it that's per year, 15 million?
Yes,
over
per
the
year.
life. So is this in addition to the $35 million transfer that we make under PILT?
Yes.
From utility,
Yes.
making, what, 45?
This is
50
the
million?
amount that CSU currently spends basically on stormwater functions during the year. So the $3 million is in addition to the payment that comes to the city annually.
And is that deducted from something in utility, or does that equate?
It's paid for through utilities. You know, we have a lot of if you think of it like this, we have like gas lines that cross over rivers or under rivers, and those all have to be maintained by utilities for safety reasons. And so utilities also has a budget for stormwater, and it's stormwater related because they cross over the rivers in places in town.
So I'm just trying to understand, is it an addition to, or is it a substitution for what they do?
They currently spend that amount of money, and we would apply that directly into the same fund for stormwater services for the city of Colorado Springs.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry, is that pretty, it's not quite exact, but.
Ms. Martin, as I understand the proposal, there would be you acting as Utilities Board of Directors and looking at the budget of utilities. You would consider projects that have a utilities nexus that are appropriately funded by ratepayers and commit an amount of funding on an annual basis as the Board of Directors and then as council approving that funding towards those projects that legitimately are projects that utilities must do to protect infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah.
I just, finally, my concern is that we're spending money that's collected under the guise of that we're going to produce electrons and water drops to the home, and we're using it for something else.
Well, we have to maintain the infrastructure to provide those services, Walter, and this is one of those. You know, as I mentioned, you have water projects, you have gas projects, you have electric projects, and many of those are impacted by stormwater, as we've seen over the recent years. And so I don't think that these are funds that would be inappropriately applied through utilities towards stormwater projects because they already spend those funds for those purposes.
Okay, Councilmember Pico.
Yeah, I want to just weigh in on and stress the same point. These are dollars that the utilities has to do to protect the infrastructure that delivers the product out there. So it may not generate the electrons, but it's about getting the electrons and the water and the wastewater back out. So for example, the incline was a pretty major project. There were some utilities dollars put in that, and that was because a water supply line went down that thing, went down the incline, and those dollars were used to protect that. That's the kind of spending we're talking about here. It is money that is already spent to protect the infrastructure. So one, it's not new money. It's not new money. It's accounting for the money that we're spending and ensuring that we're accounting to that towards the stormwater issue. Does that make it more clear?
Yeah, I see your rationale. You're in a very iffy area.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
I said you're in a very iffy area.
I don't think so, because it's money that has to be spent to protect that infrastructure, and it has to be spent by utilities. It's money that utilities has to do to ensure that that water gets to you and the electrons get to you. They have to spend it anyway.
Okay, Councilmember Knight. Councilmember Knight.
Yeah, Walter, right on top of that, both Councilmember Pico and myself, and now Councilmember Bagley are on the Finance Committee. This is not additional dollars. This is taking credit for items, as Andy said, that we need to do to ensure that when you flip the switch, the lights do come on. When you flush your toilet, the waste does go away, and it goes away to the proper place. 10 years ago, we got a lawsuit because stormwater wrecked our wastewater pipes. In the floods of last September, zero leakage. And that's because of all the work CSU put in there in 10 years of shoring up riverbed crossings. It wasn't generating electrons, it wasn't generating or delivering gas or delivering water, it was shoring up the ground around where our systems lie. It's part of our triad of reliability. All we are doing is now putting another check mark against that it not only ensures reliability, but it also does the stormwater. There's there's a tertiary or secondary benefit to it, but we are not diverting any taxpayer dollars, or ratepayer dollars. I'm sorry, not taxpayers. We're not diverting any ratepayer dollars away from something else that needs to be done. This needs to be done for reliability and to protect ourselves from lawsuits.
Okay, thank you. So let's, does somebody else want to, I think, thank you all.
Thank you for
Okay, thank you.
clarifying.
All right, thank you. Charles, come forward.
Good afternoon, President King, President Pro Tem Bennett, and members of City Council. My name is Charles Barber. I've lived here for an awfully long time. I would like to mention the fact that within the city of Colorado Springs, there is 3,506 feet difference in elevation. When you divide that out by 2.31, it turns out that a drop of rain that falls at the highest elevation, by the time it gets to the lower city limits, there's approximately 1,400 pounds per square inch behind that molecule of water. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the beauty of Colorado Springs. The streets, okay, you dodge the potholes, for heaven's sakes, but you don't drive through a pothole just because it's in the street. We have a gorgeous city, a beautiful group of people who live here, and I think we ought to support each and every one who does. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to testify on this particular issue?
I'd like to clarify for Mr. Barber. He said he's been here a long time. I thought it was many moons myself, but
Please come forward.
Yes, my name is Michael Tozier, and I think that this sounds like a great idea, that using the $8 million that we're currently wasting in our haste to do things and use it to fix the city stormwater problems seems like a great idea to me. I don't know if there's a sunset clause that will be put into this, that eventually it will end and we will do something else. This is being taken from tax dollars, and it is a tax, even though we are paying it currently, because we have to pay this tax to cover our bond. This is a much better idea. The one thing that hasn't been mentioned is that improved stormwater in this city might improve the ability to keep the streets in better condition. It would definitely improve the ability to keep buildings in better condition. So I'm in favor of this idea.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments from council? So let's vote. That passes on an 8-1 vote. So we will be in recess here for 15 minutes.